have a copy, if you'd like to have a copy of the recording, you can always send me an email or put it in the chat and I can send you that link afterwards. Um, what else? I think, okay, and last little business here is if you haven't updated to your full name in the chat, if we please do that, say hello. I had a funny icebreaker question come at me earlier this week, which is so random, but it did make me wonder. Does anybody else consider a hot dog a sandwich? I don't know. Mine's a no. You can put it in the chat where you're at. Um, okay, what else? Tim, gonna let you
Oh
step
yeah.
in here.
Yeah, one a lot to go over. So everybody, thanks for showing up again. So as we get into this, I think this is maybe our second or third small manufacturers, or what I like to call the upcoming next big manufacturer. Still haven't come clean on a name, but I've heard it loud and clear. It's like, we might not have the budget or the expertise or to get that first HPD or EPD or declare label. And listen, I came from Shaw where I had all the resources that I need, and I kind of took for granted those things. So I got a couple things that I want to go over, but first I want to hand it over to Wendy. Wendy and I have worked together alongside each other and collaborating for as long as I can remember. She leads the HPD collaborative. Her and I are talking about some of the things we're doing with the CMF, and she told me about this program where they can onboard any manufacturer of any size at a price that I'll let her be the bearer of good news. But I'm like this, I said, shame on me, Wendy, for not knowing this. And two, I really want to get you in front of our small manufacturers because I think this is a way that you can get into the transparency CMF, that it's going to help you with visibility to a lot of the digital platforms that are out there. So, um, Wendy and Melania, I'm going to hand it over to you, and let's learn about how these small manufacturers can activate material transparency, get activated in the CMF, and let's get into some conversations from there. Sound good?
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Tim, and the group for inviting us today. I just want to recognize someone who's on the call, Kim Lombardozzi. Kim has been involved with HPDs for quite a long time and serves as the chair of our technical committee and also as an ex officio member of our board of directors. So Kim, I don't want to nominate you for something that you don't want to do, but maybe as a great internal resource for this group, that's part of it, on experience with HPDs, and myself, I'm the executive director. Mija handles all of our user experience and technical support and works with our development team to make sure the things that we are building are things that are needed. So we really appreciate the opportunity to come today and speak with you. There are many small manufacturers that are using our tools today, and we hope that with this introduction, more of you will be encouraged to give them a try. I will say that for anybody who wants to try it out, after the call, please get in touch with Mija, and she will give you a trial account just to go on and see what it's all about for a couple of weeks if it's something that you are interested to further pursue. So we want to make that available to this group as a way of just introducing ourselves if we're not as familiar to you as we want to be. So our whole goal here is to support manufacturers in providing high quality, especially self-reported HPDs. We have done a tremendous amount, and Mija in a moment is going to show you the tools that we have available to support exactly organizations like yours that don't have all the experts, don't have all the resources, don't have the budget to hire a consultant so that you can do this yourselves. And one of the underpinnings of our entire initiative from day one has been that public transparency is the best authentication that is possible for manufacturer data. If a manufacturer is willing to make something publicly available and attest to its accuracy in public, then a lot of the concerns that people have about things being hidden or not discoverable, or we don't really know what this is, especially when it's done to a well-defined standard that is open. So underpinning our initiative from day one has been to enable broad use of these capabilities so that any manufacturer can do that. And the great news is over the last decade that we have been developing these tools and capabilities and methods and trainings and support systems and everything else that we now have that is fully operational. Plus, it's been used by over 1,000 manufacturers already who have published collectively over 18,000 HPD reports. So all of these are available in our HPD public repository archive. That's the public transparency aspect of what we do. So just to say, we are super interested in your organizations, what issues you may run into, roadblocks you may have in trying to do work with HPDs that now unlock, as Tim was saying, the opportunity to get your data basically anywhere in our entire materials, building materials ecosystem through our API. All of this is included when you use our HPD builder. So without further ado, I know we have a little press for time today. I'm going to turn it over to Mija to show you what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Wendy. I'll share my screen and walk you through the process.
I just want to say, this is Kim. I just want to say Mija has all the shortcuts for you. So if you're having a hard time trying to figure something out, she can help you.
Thank you, Kim. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to walk you through the process of how to get started with HPDs. I'm going to just touch on the basic concepts and then about the process of creating HPDs, how to access the software, which is the HPD Builder, and then a quick demo. I think I have time. I can make it. So the health product declaration is a public report of the chemical substances, materials, the ingredients that are in your product as delivered to the job site. And this information is reported along with associated human and environmental health hazards that are, the data is retrieved automatically in the HPD Builder tool. They're voluntary and self-reported, but they may be third-party verified. The HPD is part of our HPDC Material Health Tool Suite, which started with the HPD Open Standard. That is this document that has all the instructions and guidelines for how to create an HPD. The HPD Builder, that is the software the manufacturers can use to create HPDs. The pre-check, which is an additional tools that are embedded in the HPD Builder. The repository, that is the database where HPDs live, and the HPD data partners that are different data sets in the industry that use HPD data to report products that have transparency documentations and provide manufacturers visibility in front of the design community. So why publish an HPD? The HPD can help you understand the product contents and associated health hazards, because in the process of creating an HPD, you will need to gather information, perhaps from suppliers, and learn more about what's really in your product. You can identify opportunities to improve your product formulations. You can meet the growing demand for transparency that is not going to get any easier, and demonstrate your commitment to architects, designers, specifiers, and customers, and other customers. And the HPD is enabled to make your product a contributor in rating systems such as WELL and LEED. And then this allows you to differentiate products and remain competitive in this industry. So what is the process of creating an HPD? It's basically 5 stages. First is understanding the requirements, which is the HPD Open Standard. We have a manufacturer user guide. You need to define a scope. We're going to go through that. Then it's the process of gathering the data. This is the stage that takes a little longer. And then you will build the HPD in the software and publish it. So the standard is a document that is available to everyone. You can download it today. And we have a supporting document that is the manufacturer user guide that has some clarification on the standard terms. The standard is also embedded in the software tools, so you can refer to the standard text while creating your HPD. The standard is an instruction, it's a manual for how to create HPDs, and it has the definitions of each of the words used in the HPD language, in the process, and the type of data that must be reported. You need to define a scope for the report, which is basically it's setting up how detailed your inventory reporting will be. Then the data for what's in your product, maybe you know already there are products that are unique products, for example, bio products that come out of a specific recycled content. We have a way to report these products. If there are any other additives, it's when you have to reach out to suppliers to understand what's in their products. There is a concern regarding proprietary data, and we have already considered that in the standard and in the builder and have functionality to allow you to report trade secret ingredients without disclosing this data. And so your suppliers can do it as well. So they don't risk their product formulation when collaborating with you on creating HPDs or providing data for creating HPDs. So when you have all the data, then you can build the HPD in the software. And this process really, even for the most complex products, is very quick. It can take maybe 2 hours if it's a very complicated formulation, like long formulation. For simple products, it can really be as fast as 1 hour, even less. And then when you have all the data entered in the builder, you then publish the HPD. As I said, the HPDs go to the HPD repository, which is HPDC dataset for HPDs, but they also get distributed to other partners' datasets. Some of you may know them: Transparency Catalog, Ecomides, Green Badger, and others. We'll go through the demo, and I'll clarify a couple of further things. But in addition to in the process of creating HPD, you will have additional tools that you can leverage your access to from, which is the program pre-checks. So you can use your HPD data to assess whether your product might be eligible to pursue other certifications or to align with other industry programs. As an example, we have pre-checks for the Washington Buy Clean Buy Fair program, Cradle to Cradle certifications, Perkins and Will and Bora, which are architecture firms that have their own material health criteria, and Green Seal and Reset. So this effort of adding your inventory can help you determine whether you are aligned and also have the information and the contact to make a connection with these organizations and pursue other certificates or disclosures. Additionally, we recently added a tool to help manufacturers calculate the multi-attribute score for LEED v5. LEED v5 is the new version of the LEED rating system, and it has changed the way materials contribute to points. And now it's more multi-attribute, so you can add all the documentations that you may have in addition to HPDs, such as environmental product declarations or other type of documentation, and then have this score that will be very valuable for architects when pursuing LEED certification. So as I mentioned, you need access to the HPD builder. There are 2 ways to access the builder. One is through membership, and this is recommended when you have a big portfolio of products. It starts at $995 per year, and you can also have another tier, which is 2,500, and the only difference is the amount of users of the builder. And both options provide you with unlimited use of the builder, which means you can publish as many as HPDs as needed. And there is another option that does not require membership. It's tokens here, apologies, which is the Builder Bundle Pack. And for $500, you can get 3 tokens and create 3 HPDs. And these HPDs can either represent a single product or a product category, because HPDs allow grouping of multiple products as long as they, sorry,
Hey,
I still, because I see a
Misha,
question.
it's just me real quick. I just wanted to make sure you weren't trying to share anything on your screen
Do you
at this
see
time.
it or
I
not?
see it. Yeah.
Oh, you
Okay.
do?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Then I don't. Okay, good.
Yeah, I was a
Okay,
little
good. Then
distracted
it's
because I saw the message. So yeah,
okay.
so
I'm so
everyone can
sorry. It
see
must be
it.
my internet. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Ah, okay. Thank you so much. No, no problem. Okay, so the bundle pack allows you to create 3 HPDs. As I said, it can be for a single HPD or a group of HPDs. We have detailed guidelines on how to group HPDs into the same, and how to group products into the same HPD. So we have resources, and in addition to the documentation, we have a learning hub where there is a manufacturer quick start training already available, free. You can sign up anytime. And for the guidance related to health product declarations, we have a support portal where we have already articles, FAQs around different areas. It's the standard, the repo, the creation of HPDs, the pre-checks, but also we have a support ticketing system that you can just email us that will create a support. We can answer you with a demo video, or we can schedule a call for further support. We also can have quick calls with your suppliers and show them the functionality, especially when they want to feel secure when reporting proprietary data that of the products they supply. And with that, I'm going to the live demo. I'm trying to exit the PowerPoint, but it's taking a bit. Okay, so here I am showing the software, the HPD Builder. This is the page you land to after you log in. As I said, with only the $500 investment, you can access the HPD Builder and all the embedded tools. And the process works by adding a new product and creating a new HPD record. And this is another type of record. Yeah. So once you create a record, then you will have a panel on the left for the different sections of an HPD. And I will preview this report to show you the structure. So the HPD is a PDF document, and you can see 6 sections that have product information, the contact inventory, and other information related to the product. And each section of this report, specifying the standard, is on the left side bar. And if you want to understand what each of the fields mean, as I mentioned, there is the reference to the standard for each of the sections and each of the fields. There are compliance checks checked embedded in the builder, which check for, it's like a street light. So things that you must complete in order to publish, or suggestions for improvement, or if it's green, then the field is good to go. And we also have a weight inspector, which is about the completeness of the inventory, because the HPD requires that you report 100% of your product formulation. So some of the data that you may need is just general information about the product, the categories, the category of product, the threshold referred for the detailed in the reporting. So it's basically either 0.1% to 100 parts per 1,000 parts per million. I'm just going to explain this quickly because it's basically everything that weighs 0.1% in your product or above must get reported, included in the content inventory. This is just the only thing that you really need to decide depending on the information you have, and then the rest is associated data. Okay, so then there is a section for adding the materials that make up your product, and then the substances, materials, and polymers within each of them. We have already specified guidelines for materials, what we consider special condition materials, such as polymers, metal alloys, um, recycled content, biological materials, geological materials. So basically, you will be reporting by chemical ID any chemicals, and then the materials as materials. And there is a specific section for polymers. We require that you report information about compliance, even though the certifications are not required. Just we want you, if you have them, to report them here, and if you don't have them, especially the VOC emissions and content, just indicate that you don't have the certificate, but provide information about any claims for VOC content for wet applied products. Another section is related to accessories, which is any product that you recommend for use, maintenance, installation. You can list it here for guidance. We have a general notes section just for general notes, as that, and then the contact information. Once all the information has been entered, you can proceed to the lead pre-check. We have future works with the weld pre-check, which is the weld standard. And the builder will check whether the HPD data is aligned or not with the requirements for the lead in the different versions, for weld in a very short future, and other programs as I mentioned. And the builder tells the user whether the product is aligned or not, and it provides feedback of why it's not aligned. In the case of this pre-check, it's because it's required to report the manufacturing location. So the manufacturer can go back, enter the manufacturing location, and be able to align with the requirements of the Washington Buy Clean Buy Fair program. There are other details that are optional, which is antimicrobials and PFAS details, but recommended, and also and all of them have also guidelines and help section with guidelines for how to report it. Once you have finished entering all the information, you hit the publish button, and you will be able to download your HPD from the repository tab in the builder or directly in the repository dataset. And I will stop because that's all the presentation, to see if you have any questions, or maybe we need to go to the next topic. I'm not sure.
Yeah, let's have some Q&A here. So you talked about why HPD and gave a great description for all the right reasons of the work we're all trying to do. But as I heard that also, this is going to allow the materials to start complying with lead and well criteria. It's also going to help get access into, you said Perkins and Will and Bora, some of these other databases. Can you talk about the API transfer that you have with other tech platforms? How would this be beneficial for the manufacturers?
Yes, so once the HPD is published, the data is shared through our partners. And I will open the partners site to show you. But these databases get the data, and usually they upload it every month. And this will provide visibility of your product. If you haven't started your transparency documentation journey, which is basically either publishing an environmental product declaration or having a health product declaration, a declared label, cradle to cradle, or any of the other documents specified in LEED, for example, then this is a great option to start with, and it will position your product in all the databases that use our API that include, and Wendy can help me here, Green
Yeah.
Badger, Sustainable Mines Transparency Catalog, e-committees, Building Ease, at least those four I'm completely sure.
Okay.
And yes, Wendy,
We,
if you can share the link to the API partners,
I
uh,
will.
yes, then
I'll
you
get
guys
that.
can see everyone that is using our data set. And important, because we are also releasing the well pre-check, the this is going to be visible to the institute to see HPDs that are aligned with the well building standard, and the same with GBCI. So we are sharing with also with the organizations that have pre-checks um, through the API that also want to gather the data, of course.
So when I asked that question in that API exchange, as a manufacturer, you say, I really want to get my products into these platforms where the customers are looking for
Mm-hmm.
materials. And usually leadership comes and says, well, we want to be on the one where the customers are at. And we can't answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
So having the products, as I understand in the HPD in that database, is going to allow visibility for that
Yes.
manufacturers to have products on sustainable mines, on ecomedes, on building ease. There it is right there. So is that statement true, Wendy?
Yeah, basically the goal is twofold. One, that the actual correct HPD document is available wherever someone would want to look for it. So we have them all on our repository, so that's one option. But
Hmm.
many project teams are working in one or more of these tools. So when they go there, we want to make sure that that document is the most up-to-date, accurate version of the HPD, what the manufacturer intended. So anytime the manufacturer is updating that document, we make it available on the API. Our API data partners are all vetted by us. It's not an open
Yeah.
API in the sense that anyone can pull that data. We have defined agreements and so on. So we work closely with these partners to be sure they represent it. The second thing that we make available is all the digital data that is in an HPD. What this enables is for them to do all the filtering and so on and so forth. So some of the things that Misha showed you with the pre-check, we want those platforms also to be able to work and do what project teams need to find precisely the right thing that they're looking for. And HPDs have the fullest disclosure of all product ingredient, human and environmental hazards, additional listings, is the most comprehensive transparency document available. That's why there are so many of them. That's
Yeah.
why they're used as the baseline. So what this enables is for the project team to get at that information, both the authenticated, actual, correct HPD, and also all the digital data to be used when they're doing filtering and selection on those platforms. So we want to enable everyone to have accurate, reliable, and consistent data that you, the manufacturers, have created for them. And so this is our way of making that happen. And it's automated, so you don't have to do anything. As Misha said, once you publish, that's another important distinction about our program. All the work that you do on the builder is in your private account. It's only at the point in time where you decide it's ready for distribution that it's published. And so it also gives you a place to send people with the authenticated document, as opposed to trying to maintain that database on your own website. So it's doing a lot of things for you through that API.
Right. So before I get through some of the questions in the chat, does anybody have any questions they want to ask right now?
I've got one. So can you go in and, or I guess, how long is the HPD valid for? And then if things about your ingredients change before your certification is up, can you go in and change things pretty regularly, or is there like fees associated with updating ingredients?
Thank you. So the HPD is valid for 3 years, and the validity date depends on the screening date, which is when the substance were screened against this priority hazards list. But in the meantime, if you identify an error or if you need to change the formulation, you can come to the builder anytime, update the information, and republish the HPD. And right now, there is no associated fee. Maybe in the future, tokens might be enforced, but we will give enough time for the manufacturers to review. So, yeah, that's pretty simple. It can be published anytime.
Yeah, and of course, with a membership in HPDC, you have unlimited use of it, and our entry level membership is $995 a year, so less than $100 a month. So it's our goal is to make it very affordable for any manufacturer that really wants to use these tools. And so not only do you have access to the builder, you have access to all that chemical and hazard information about your products. So if you're seriously thinking, first you want to validate what you think is true, and you can do that using these tools. And then for a lot of manufacturers, they learn things that they didn't know about a full hazard screening, because all of the hazards, not just the green screen score, but all of the hazards that have been identified in these authoritative lists. So these are all things that are out there. We don't invent those. These come from authoritative sources that are used in the global harmonized standard type environment. And so you can see for yourself, what these things are, and explore them and learn about them and determine how you might want to do something about your product. If your product doesn't contain any of this, you have a great story to tell. And this is intended to make your product really shine.
It helps you validate that story, right?
Exactly.
What you know to be true, and as you communicate that to Perkins and Will or Bora, or it's like now you have that proof point of that validation. Another thing I wanted to address as well is the platform. And I'll use an example. You can get three for $500. Pretty good deal. So, for example, when I was at Shaw, we have a carpet tile platform called EcoWorks Carpet Tile with Eco Solution Q1 Fiber. We have one HPD for that platform. That platform represents about 700 different products. So as you think about that, are you in have a product category that might have different looks or different colors, but it's all the same construction, same ingredients? There's ways to certify at a platform level to get multiple line items in that HPD. Um, Got a question from our friend Lisa Conway, and she came from someone that had a bunch of resources now, but now
That's
she's
right,
like,
Lisa.
right?
You did.
And by the way, I think this is a great question, Lisa, because can you talk or walk through as our manufacturers are going to go dive into their supply chain, talk through what our suppliers would have to do to provide this information that these manufacturers need? Like what tips or what hints would you give um, some of these manufacturers that have to dive in and have these conversations with their suppliers?
And specifically like the path of NDAs and things like that. Are they just given access to the portal in a way where we can't see it, but then do you have to do
Yeah.
an NDA with them because your system is receiving their information? Can you talk me
Okay.
through
So
that?
yes. So the best investment is to educate suppliers on the importance of collaboration, because as I mentioned, the requests will not get easier. So when they support you, they will be ready to support other customers as well. So they can access the HPD builder if you provide them with access to your account. So if you add them as members to your account, and they don't have to pay anything, and they can report their proprietary data directly without disclosing it to you. So we have a process to do that. We have demos, but I'm happy to meet with any suppliers to show them that. I have allowed suppliers to test it themselves with a test account so they feel comfortable. So we're always open to supporting you in the process. Now, they do have to enter, to be specific, the CAS number in the system. But if they follow the right process, nobody is going to see it, neither you, nor me, nor them, once they have saved. So, um, I can actually, now that you mention, I can publish in the FAQ in the support system generic communication where you can that you can use to send to suppliers to tell them I need this data to create an HPD. You can follow a process to protect your proprietary data. I will add you as member. You don't have to pay anything. Here is the contact. Here is the support contact. So I can create that for this group. I mean, I will make it public, but I will send this group the link. That will be the best way. Now, if they're not willing to collaborate that way, then is when you have to consider a third party, which will be an approved preparer or a consultant that is willing to sign an NDA with the supplier and then enter the data in the builder.
Yeah, I
So
think
with
I would think that we
Mhm.
could get their collaboration. I
Yes,
think that just having the right words written down
words. Yeah, yeah, okay.
um,
I'll do
for
that.
them to feel comfortable that
Yes.
no one's going to see it can save a lot of paperwork.
Yes, I will do that.
Cool.
Um,
Awesome.
and I
Thank
will
you.
share it with the
That's
team.
a great suggestion, Lisa. Thank you for that. And
Hmm.
another thing, you can go on to the repository and find lots of examples.
Yep.
Maybe even products similar to your own, and take a look at what other manufacturers are doing, because there's so many manufacturers now and so many different product categories. So if you're new, that's one of the first things I would suggest to do. And you can, again, use the repository for free to do a simple search by, product category or manufacturer. All that is available on a repository. So that might be another way to kind of inform yourself in your own product segment. What are other people doing? And that can be extremely informative.
and listen, Lisa, going back when this first started, going into the supply chain and trying to ask for this information was, like pulling teeth. But Wendy, have you seen with hundreds of thousands of these suppliers being asked, is it becoming more common today than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago to disclose?
Well, no question about it, Tim, because if you look at what is being disclosed on HPDs today, like published HPDs,
Mhm.
and you compare that with when we started the repository 10 years ago and what, those early ones, um, there's they're really almost incomparable in terms of the breadth, depth, completeness. Now you always had to account for 100% of the inventory, but a
Yeah.
lot of it was, we don't know, we can't get it, and the amount of now, so in that 100%, you can say we don't know.
Yeah.
We want to avoid the error of omission. So that's the key for this. So it's perfectly fine to say we don't know what those are. Okay, we're working on it. And what this does is create an opportunity. Let's say there's a project team very interested in your product, but you don't yet have an HPD and you're just getting started. Our idea from the beginning has been to allow you to report everything you do have.
Hmm.
And that may be remarkably good, based again on this now, decade of history where many suppliers, this is not going to be the first time they receive this request. So that you can report whatever you have. And then you can give that document to the potential customer, the prospect, and say, we're working on these things. And in fact, in the notes section, you can indicate all that right on your HPD, but it opens an opportunity for dialogue about what you have, what you don't have. And what we found is that project teams really appreciate that,
I
because
do.
they can be confident about what you did report. And if typically it's one or two suppliers, and depending on how much you can reveal about what that ingredient is, you can at least have an opportunity to present your case and say we're working on it. And so there have been many, many stories like that, which have enabled manufacturers to work with project teams that really are excited about their product. So it
Listen, I
gives
can
you
say
that,
that. Listen,
opportunity.
it gives that. Hey, we're not perfect, but we're working on it and we're trying. So, Kim, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I had a supplier who didn't want to share the information with me, but once I told them that they could enter the data themselves and they could also protect their CAS numbers, et cetera, by non-disclosing them, I connected them with Misha. Misha connected them to my account. I don't know. There's some magic happening behind the
Hmm,
green curtain there, but anyway, they were able to populate the data for me, and we were able to publish our HPD. So it
it's
really
awesome.
was pretty easy.
So not only are they willing to work, hands-on with you and provide the builder tool, but also to work with your suppliers. I think that's great. I don't know much about this. The Natural Stone Institute suggested that I specifically ask about using templates developed by NSI as a starting point. Does that
Yes,
make
yes.
sense?
Yes, yes, we
Yes.
work with the trade association, and they created templates for different products, I think up to 10 products. So when you just need to sign up, buy the tokens or the membership, and then just send us an email requesting the template, and we will create a copy, add it to your builder account, and you can just move forward from there.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'll just share one more thing. I'm on vacation, so I'll turn my video on, but hi guys. Um, I just want to say that moving from a big manufacturer, like Tim came from, to a super tiny manufacturer, it's been really interesting that I think from my assessment of like, we're bringing this material to a non-aviation, non-ground transportation market like buildings. It's contract upholstery, but this strangely feels like the most accessible thing for me to do quickly, because we know what's in our product. It's not expensive to do. And I think that it matters the most to people in terms of building trust, to know what's in your product when you're coming to market. So, for what it's worth, I thought that HPDs were complicated for a very long time, and you guys have done an amazing job coming from it this side, especially the pre-check feature. And I mean, this is awesome. So, thank you for your work for a nonprofit with a small staff.
Yeah. And
Thank
full
you.
disclosure, Lisa and I are not related by family, only related by sustainability with the same last name.
Correct.
Lisa,
Um,
Correct.
thank you so much for that perspective, because that
Thank you.
is a real shock to be, you
It
yeah.
is
know,
really different. Yeah.
uh,
But
yeah.
Lisa, also having an HPD is going to eventually make your declare label easier. It's going to
Oh,
eventually
totally.
make a cradle to
Totally.
cradle.
Oh
So
yeah.
this is
But
your
that's why
gateway
we
into all these
started with
things.
HPD, and it didn't used
Yep.
to be that way. It used to
Yeah.
be that they were two totally separate things to pursue. And
So
that cross collaboration that's hard in the industry is just so appreciated.
Well,
so
thank you. We've
look for
worked
some
hard at that
information. Yeah.
harmonization.
Oh, I
So
know. Yeah.
I've got a couple other things I want to share with the group. One, both I'm excited about, but we'll forward out the information on how to get engaged with HPD, how to get started. Um, at the beginning, I said I've heard it loud and clear in our meetings about how difficult it is to get declare label or an APD or HPD. Hopefully today this was helpful. Um, I guess it's public, but we just brought on William A. Paddock, WAP Partners, as a form member. And in their membership, I've asked for discounted prices and in-kind hours for William and his team to help their clients maybe get your first EPD, maybe a declare label. So this is all finalized today. I don't have a lot of the details, but if you guys aren't familiar with William in the work his team does, they're a third party certification consulting company that's helping large and small manufacturers in a lot of this work. So hopefully that you see value in that. And
Tim, I might
stay.
just add, they're also an approved preparer and verifier for HPDs. So we've been
Yeah.
partnering with them for many years.
So stay tuned. The next up and coming small manufacturers group will probably have someone from WAP, and they're going to be able to tell you the offerings they have to help you, get these declaration certifications, across the finish line for you. So that's one. I'm excited about that. Hopefully you see value in that as well.
That's really
Next,
exciting. Yeah,
um,
thank you.
and by the way, listen, working with you and Lisa, you vouch, I really get a lot out of the work that you guys are doing and trying to. It sometimes push this rope uphill or just gain visibility. I want to help with that. Um, Kari and I have decided to do this all members meeting next week. It's the 18th. So you're going to be in the audience, and you're going to have Brett Gardner, who is with IA. You're going to have Heather Park, who is a champion in sustainability and in interiors at what was once Boulder and Associates, is now rebranded as BA. You're going to have Heather Hendrickson, the Chief Sustainability Officer at Harvard. Um, we're going to have we're going to have someone from Turner Construction. I'm not sure which person it's going to be, and I'm going to be moderating this. So I'm going to ask questions about what do they expect out of manufacturers? How are they implementing CMF? If you remember our last meeting, bring someone in your organization that isn't a sustainability person like yourself. Bring someone from sales, bring someone from marketing so they hear this demand. Um, we have 10 minutes, but I want to intentionally ask, and you've received the hopefully the survey from Kari that you can kind of load your questions that we'll ask. But for the first 20 minutes, I'm going to have a panel discussion with them about this, and I want to say something specifically that represents the small manufacturers. So in the next 10 minutes, you guys want to talk about, if you had the chance to ask them one question that would represent this group, what would it be?
The one question to represent the group is throwing me, but I've definitely got some ideas.
Gonna say, Emma, you sent quite the list of questions that we could pull from that were great. But if anybody does have any additional ones or any that you happen to put in the survey that you'd like to share here, it can be a repeat, even if you've already sent it to me. Love to hear it.
It can be as easy as, how do we even just get a lunch and learn at one of your locations? How often do you let small manufacturers have a small manufacturer month with your material resource or librarians? I don't know what it is.
I like that. Like, what's the best way that we can start a relationship? Um, and also problem solving. I think I've approached some recently as like, what problems can we solve for you? Because there are some that large manufacturers can't, where we're more flexible. So that's sometimes been a little like giving folks something, a different perspective to think about it.
That's a
Build on
great
that, I think,
question.
what are the categories that you're struggling with most in making progress? Because somebody on the call could probably help with those, whereas Tim, you and I were battling it out at Harvard to get in there. They don't need help with carpet tile, right? What
Yeah,
do they need help with? What are some of their really sticky challenges? Because a lot of the small manufacturers are probably solving some of those challenges as opposed to some of the just go-to products.
yeah,
There's probably something that they hate that they're specifying, but they have to specify it.
right.
They think they have.
FRP is mine as a designer and specifier, let me tell you. But there's more, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I've
What
been
are
I
they?
think asking what's your biggest pain point, right,
Yeah.
in your
Wall
job? Or
protection in healthcare, you know? some of that kind of stuff.
You have to protect the walls.
Oh yeah. With tons of vinyl.
Uh,
Uh, Emma, I think you also had some good questions kind of around that with like reclaimed wood and some sourcing and things like that. So anyway, good things to keep thinking about with, like you're saying, outside of carpet, outside of tile, outside of these kind of big hitters. There's a lot of other things being specified. Okay. Any
Is there a lane to address? I'm like, hey, we really think you're doing the right thing, but where else has it been installed? Where can you? I'm like, we're giving you all the solutions. How often do they test something with a small manufacturer?
Hmm.
I just might suggest him one thing that comes up in programs like the Washington State biplane, is proximity. A lot of people, are unaware that there are small manufacturers right near them. I mean, my own
Hmm.
example, I was looking for a new mattress. I said, "Are there mattress makers here in Phoenix?" Lo and behold, there was one 10 minutes from my house. So I think that, that's something we put our location indicator in to help manufacturers. This is where we make things. So that's
Right.
just another dimension that with circularity and some of the other initiatives has more importance now.
Any other ideas or questions?
by the way, I love that new feature on, well, it's not that new, but I like that feature on HPD. You can put the manufacturer location in there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for presenting. I'm really excited to check this all out, and I think we've had declare labels for a couple of years, and I wish that I'd found this first. Honestly, like I wish we could go back a little bit because I think that would help me out. But so thank you. I'm looking forward to exploring.
Great to
Wendy,
hear.
did you pay her to say that?
No.
Wish.
Amazing. Okay, y'all.
We'll look forward
Well,
to seeing you all on the
Tuesday,
18th,
hopefully. Yeah.
right? That's Tuesday.
Tuesday.
If you come up with ideas for questions, let Kari and I know.
Yep.
And if you have any immediate ideas around how WAP might be able to help you with something right now, let's talk about it.
Thanks for hosting this, guys. This was great.
All right,
Yes.
y'all.
You.
Appreciate it.
All right, y'all. We'll
Thanks,
be in
everybody.
touch. Have a
Thanks,
great
Thank
day.
everyone.
you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
everybody.
you all.
Bye bye.